Nice.
All right, let's do it. Welcome back. You love to hear it. Episode 22. We got an absolute legend in the booth right now. I don't think I've ever said your last name. I always call you TJ Board Archive. It's TJ Kern, right?
That's right. Yep.
Let's go. What's going down, bro? How are we feeling?
Dude, feeling so good. Thank you for having me on. Stoked to be here. Stoked that you made it out to Colorado for some early season shreds.
Yep. I appreciate you picking me up at Whole Foods this morning and bringing me over here to do this.
Of course. Anytime, bro. I got you.
So, yeah, let's jump into this. Take it way back. You're from North Carolina. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, man. Grew up in North Carolina. Started snowboarding when I was around 10 at Cataloochee. Just some mutual friends, family friends took me out there.
Is that a resort?
Yep. Yeah. Small resort out in like Western North Carolina near Asheville, if anyone's familiar. It's actually the same mountain that Zeb Powell grew up riding.
Okay.
I think he's from like Waynesville area. So that's about 45 minutes from where I grew up. And then went to school up in a town called Boone to Appalachian State up there.
That's what we know.
Yeah. So there's a few resorts up there.
Yeah, give us the resorts because I know Beach.
Beach is kind of the one that I feel like has taken over recently in the last like 5 years or so. They got a tow rope park up there. They're like really holding it down for the community. It seems like the shop up there, Recess, is doing a lot for the scene up there. And when I lived there, it was like 2008 to 2013-ish, and I went to App Ski Mountain the most. So they still build a great park there. Shout out to everyone there.
Appalachian Ski Mountain.
Appalachian.
And then you got Sugar?
Sugar, yeah, that's the other one. So Sugar's kind of like in the middle. Yeah. So I think those are the only 4 ski resorts that still remain in North Carolina. And yeah, it's a good spot. It's crazy, like, the scene that there is there. There's a lot of love for snowboarding in those small towns up there. It's getting
bigger too. I feel like the past couple of years, maybe since Zeb started like really putting it on, like people are stoked over there.
Zeb and also Luke Winkleman. Yep. So he just made it on the US slope team this year. So I'm super stoked to see that. He does an event with Red Bull at App. I think last year was their first year and they're going to run it back this year. So I'm going to try to head out for that. But Luke Winkleman put that.
It's like a hometown thing, right?
Yeah. So he's got like kind of a small park section that they dedicated to like under his name at the resort. Yep. And I think Red Bull maybe throws some funds or something towards that. I think it's called Winkleman's Way, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was dope, dude. I wish I could have been there last year. Like people from all over the world came, like so many riders came out to this tiny hill in North Carolina.
Was that part of the Red Bull thing they did?
Yeah.
That was the slide-in tour? No,
it wasn't the slide-in tour. It's a separate thing. I forget what it's called, but it was like early December, like hardly any snow on the ground, and they made it happen. So
that was my next question because we're trying to plan a GnarV tour right now, and I've honestly learned more about the geographics of North Carolina. I figured just like maybe. Is Wilmington? Is that North Carolina?
Wilmington. So North Carolina is like a super wide state.
That was the thing. So I was thinking these like the whole time that all the stoke was going down near the coast and it was like a Japan style, like mountain coast thing. And then once we started mapping out the GNAR tour this year, I was like, oh, it's more like Southern Illinois, Indiana-ish, like more towards the middle.
Yeah. It's like, it's a little nook over, on the western side of the state, kind of not too far from Virginia, not too far from Georgia. It's a beautiful area, but it's definitely I need to know
about conditions time-wise because we're trying to hit it like before Christmas. Odds they're even open and running? Is there going to be some snow?
I think typically they do get open early December. I mean, it's going to be probably like pretty rough, like man-made, and it just depends on the weather, right? You know, if they can get a window of a few days, where they can make snow, they can get it open.
They got a base.
I think at Beach, they had like a super early season event this year in November. Somehow, I don't know how they pulled it off, but they got some ssnow on the ground. And
all right. Are you going to be going back there for the holidays?
I will. Yeah, I'll be out there for Christmas for like a week, kind of around the 20th. And I might try to head out earlier for that event.
Yeah, you should, because I'm trying to do, I don't remember the stops. We're going to drop it in a couple of days, but I'm going so the GNAR tour this year is going to start after Thanksgiving at Daly's in like Concord on the West Coast. And then we're going to cruise to Florida to my mom's for Christmas. But I want to be there like 5 days earlier. So we're basically like this, like 17, 18, 19th ish. We're going to be like around North Carolina area. And I'm trying to hit some of those resorts. I know the Stoke's insane, dude. I just dropped it's funny because you drop beach or whatever, and then everybody's like, come to Sugar, or the opposite. And I'm like trying to figure it out because I'm not from these areas, and you only pass through for like one day.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if you are able to, it's probably worth checking out all of them. I've, just being honest, probably spent the least amount of time at Sugar because I was, it's more like little skate parks out there. There's not a lot of vertical. There's not a lot of terrain. Beach is a little bit bigger, so they have more terrain to explore, but, and they got that tow rope park now. But for park laps, I'd say it's App and Beach.
Sick. Did you go up to New England at all growing up riding, or?
Dude, no, not really. I think, I used to go to Snowshoe a little bit up in West Virginia, and that was pretty cool. Have you been there before?
No.
It's a pretty interesting resort, man. I don't know, like, park-wise what they're building nowadays, but it's still maybe the only resort I've been to where the village is at the top and then you snowboard down and take the chairlift back up to the village.
Okay, sick.
Yeah.
You got to love a switch up.
Yeah.
It's always so good.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Well, I would like to transfer into like kind of when you started doing content. When did was snowboarding the main focus of your life for a while before you got into content? And we met in 2018, once I started the vlog, and I was like learning about people who were making content on YouTube and stuff, and you were doing the Snowboard Pro Camp thing. So bring us way back on like how snowboarding started leading into content and all that.
100%, man. So I would say, snowboarding has probably been like the longest running thing in my life that I've just maintained a passion for and just consistently wanted to do. And it started just like making edits with the homies. Like I would say around 2008, 2009, GoPro Hero 1, just like riding with the homies, handheld.
Super shaky.
Have no idea what you're doing. You're just out there just hyped on getting clips with your buddies.
720, 24. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Like whatever the settings are.
Dude, so good. And I didn't really start making content on YouTube until, man, when would it have been? It would have been close to around the time I met you. I think 2016, 2017 was when I kind of gave my first go at snowboard content.
Mm-hmm. And that was on YouTube or Instagram or what?
Yeah, I was on YouTube. Well, I started, everything YouTube. It was mainly YouTube and Instagram, though. I'd say now there's all these other platforms,
trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, we're trying.
This one-man band thing doesn't work when 10 more platforms come out every year.
It's hard. Yeah, and you're trying to like not just repost the same thing on every platform.
That's the tough part.
Yeah.
So when did you meet up with Kevin?
So I actually originally met up with Kevin through a great mutual friend of mine. His name's Garrett. We went to school together at App. And I think it was 2011. He was like, hey, I'm going up to Whistler for the summer. They got a public park. We're renting a house in Creekside. Do you want to throw in and like hang out for the summer?
Yeah.
Did you ever go up there like to Camp of Champs and stuff?
No, that's what I was going to say. Was it Camp of Champions or had that been?
So, I mean, Camp of Champs was running. They also had Momentum, which was like a ski only camp at the time. I think now they do both because they're the only ones left up there. Mm-hmm. But they also had a public park. So you could just like it wasn't that expensive. I want to say it was like $300 or something. And
the good old days.
Yeah. You could go ride for like, I think it was a 6 or 8 week summer session where you could just snowboard up there.
See, that's what people need. If you're trying to get good and like stay riding in the summer, you need 6 to 8 weeks. Like the 1 week High Cascade is like, you're going to have fun. You're going to learn a little bit. You'll keep it going, but like,
it's tough to really like dial some stuff in a week. Especially like the way, it's set up at Hood. It's not the most efficient laps, let's say.
No, and even getting there, people don't realize Hood is like gearing up in the heat down at the bottom, and then like
so weird
climbing up the hill in your car and gearing up, and then you have to hike all the way up, and then you have to hike to the next chair, and then it's like, what month is it? Are we hiking to the next chair? Yeah, it's brutal,
dude. Yeah, Hood is so good though. It's like, if you haven't been, you got to try it at least once.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So you went to Whistler.
Yeah, we went to Whistler. Very like mission to get up there as well. And so Kevin, the guy who runs Snowboard Pro Camp, good friend of mine, he was like just starting back then, and no one was really making content like snowboard content on YouTube at the time. And so he was doing a lot of instructional and like tutorial type content. And me and Garrett were just trying to like get clips. Like our whole goal was like, we want to make a summer edit, like just try to get the best tricks we can, put that together. And so Kevin was like down to film and he would use the clips for making like tutorials on whatever trick. And then we were just stoked to get clips.
Yeah.
So that's how I originally met Kevin. Garrett knew him from like way back. And then a few years later, I was actually living in North Carolina at the time, still in school. And I moved out to Colorado 2014, had an office job in finance for a couple of years, and was like,
lucky you, honestly.
This is not
That's what I'm claiming. I need like a year or two of finance to figure out what's going on in my life.
Well, yeah, right. No, would not recommend. But, you know, learned a lot during that. I feel like, honestly, that helped a lot with being able to talk in front of a camera, because it was a lot of phone calls with that job, and but really wasn't liking it. It was like a cubicle farm type scenario, and wanted to throw my hat in the ring for making content. And, you know, Kevin had kind of built this platform on instructional content, and I was interested in making reviews. I studied math in college. Like, I don't know. I like getting deep into the details and just
nerd out.
Yeah. I love nerding out. It's
how many subs did Kevin have on YouTube at this point?
I think at the time it was around 80K. So it was substantial, you know, and I was, you know, thinking if I can make a review and partner with him and, you know, maybe each video gets a couple thousand views, like, I'm stoked. That's way better than starting from zero, and like the content's complimentary. And so he was down, and I started the first year making videos out of Colorado. Just like on the weekends, I was still working the office job. And then 2017, we realized I did a trip to Whistler with Kevin first, and I was like a 12-day trip. We filmed every day, and it was just so productive. We realized, like, if we could both be in the same place, it would just be a way better scenario. So I ended up moving to Whistler, just went all in on it, and quit my job probably way too early, but just went for it.
Good.
And
good.
Yeah.
It makes you have no choice.
Yeah. Put your back against the wall, and you're just like, you know,
when you still have that job and you still have some funds saved up, like, you don't have that, like, oh shit, like, where's
gotta make
Friday's food coming from? Yeah.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. You know, you're like leveraging credit cards, all this stuff, just like trying to make it happen.
It's all on you.
Yeah.
No one's waking you up at 7 a.m. saying, hey, you got to get on it a couple hours before everybody else, because you have to work a lot harder to not really make as much for the next couple years.
Yeah. Like, dude, we were just talking on the way over here, you know, like last person to bed, first person up, editing all your own content, just, trying to figure out the whole YouTube game. That was still like relatively early, 2017.
Yeah.
With the snowboard YouTube stuff. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started. So then I was in Whistler for a couple years, just working with Kevin, and
did you guys come up with like an agreement or something, or like, how did that work? Because I know you both were traveling back and forth, like, how do flights get covered and how does like...
Yeah, I mean, dude, at that point, I mean, it was all just out of pocket. I mean, yeah, we had, you know, he was making and editing videos, I was making and editing videos, and we had, you know, an agreement on, you know, how to split whatever for depending on the video, who made the video. But being able to travel, just being down to travel, and then having the other person to be able to film was huge. And, you know, it was some of the best years of my life, honestly, just on the grind, just traveling as much as possible, trying to make fun videos, and, you know, getting into testing boards and learning about the industry and how to sort all that out.
When you started with him, were you just helping him with mostly the tutorial stuff, or like you were saying you were uploading your videos? Were you already doing board review style videos and uploading them on the channel?
Yeah, so I jumped in right from the get-go with board reviews. That was like that was what I wanted to do from the very start. So it kind of worked out pretty complimentary. So, you know, he would do the instructional stuff. He got into vlogs at that point. I was doing some vlogs as well. We would share the riding footage. But since the content was completely different, it kind of worked out. You know, I was trying to demonstrate the board on snow, show it riding, talk about the board. And then, you know, he was doing completely different types of videos. So it was a pretty sweet setup.
Yeah. And I remember when I got into the YouTube game, found out about you guys, obviously right away. You guys were massive. And what did we first meet up in? Australia?
I think it was either Austria or Australia or Hood.
Australia was first.
Was that the first time with Niso out there?
Yeah, when Niso busted out the freestyle on the live chat. That was crazy.
Scooter gang.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was out there on a whim in 2018. And I remember being like, oh, I'm definitely going to link up with these guys. And I remember you guys were doing live chats all the time, and we cruised around, and we're like, no way, the boys are live right now. We like snuck in the back of it, and you're like, hop in, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
The comments were like mutual, like they knew us. And then my comment section, because I made that video of snowboarding with you guys, and it was just like right away I could tell like, yeah, these two audiences are super stoked. And the comment section, like, what do you have to say about it's still pretty heavy, but like there was an era of like 2 years when you guys were traveling and I was doing my vlogs where like the comment section was so intensely like friends with each other and like building groups of snowboarders around the world.
Dude, it was insane. I feel like, I don't know if we just got lucky or how that happened, but it was like definitely skewed heavily to the positive side.
Yeah.
Which is what you want, man.
Yeah.
Like just, build stoke. Like people were stoked to just meet other people that were interested in the same stuff. And then, you know, everything we were doing, like being able to show people you can actually snowboard here in July or, you know, whatever.
And you don't need to be a pro.
Yeah.
You can just be cruising around and having fun. And this is where to stay.
If you have an Epic pass, like your pass is for free already.
You better. Yeah. I realized that when I got there, I was like, no way that this is just still good from last season.
I know, it's wild.
You got any standout stories of like people that you met through the vlog that were like watching you as a fan that then you either like,
there's a lot, honestly.
I know. I want to think like are they from the UK? The homies, Yannick?
Oh my gosh,
like,
Rav and Yannick. They're probably the biggest shout out, honestly. There's been so many great people that we've met over the years, and like shout out to everybody. But Rav and Yannick, two dudes out of London. They worked in the banking industry, and they just were frothing on snowboarding.
Yes,
they were on like every live chat. You know, they're like helping to build the community and just connect everybody. And one of the craziest things ever happened in 2018. So like pretty early on, you know, they're in London and they were like, you know, we love what you guys are doing. It's sick, but you have a lot of people overseas that are like watching your videos. You need to get over here.
Yeah.
So they helped organize a whole trip over to Europe in 2018. And it was heavy, dude. I think it was like a maybe 15-day trip. And we flew into London first. There's an indoor snow dome right near London called Hemel Hempstead.
Yep.
Started there, had like no sleep. Like I think we're running like 2 hours of sleep, go there, go back to their place, crash for like 3 hours, and then start a 15-hour drive through the Eurotunnel to go to Austria. And we're riding St. Anton for a few days. And then we got a few days in Locks, and we went to Avoriaz in France, and then back to London. Our plan was to tour London at the end of that. But it actually, one of the craziest parts of that trip was on that drive, it snowed in Paris. And we were like, we had all our snowboard gear. We were driving right by there anyway. We were like, we have to go. We're just going to get a hotel in Paris and see if we can snowboard by the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And that actually worked out.
Shut up.
So yeah, that's like I'll never forget that day.
You got a video of it? Snowboarding at the Eiffel Tower? Really?
Yeah. It's way back. You'll have to go deep for that, but yeah.
That's wild.
Good times, man. Yeah. Those guys are amazing. They're still, they're still in the fold, and they're still good friends. And then there's the whole crew from Japan too, that I know you hung out with those guys.
Jose Bautista,
Jose, Chuck,
L Stacker, the whole gang out
all
there.
Those guys. Yeah.
It just shows that like, you don't really need your friends that you grew up with to go and do something. Like if your boys aren't down or something, maybe they don't want to, like, be open, like meet other people, whether it's in a comment section on YouTube in a live chat or like through a Discord or something, or just sending it. Like you can make stuff happen if you don't have the crew. They are freaking
100%, man. And I think it is cool to have that internet aspect of it. And then, maybe being able to go to a new resort that you've wanted to check out and kind of having some homies there that you can have them show you around, or, just have a place to crash or what have you. But even like, I know you've been a big advocate for just like, just go. Like there's going to be people that are into the same things that you are. Like everyone's there for pretty much the same reason.
Yep.
So,
and they're all pretty savage, because if you sent it to where any of these places that we're going, if you're an American, you sent it to Austria, like it takes a bit of savagery.
100%.
Whether you're going preseason snowboarding at Mount Snow from Connecticut, like you driving up 2.5 hours, like telling your girl that you're not going to hang out with her, quitting your, whatever you do to shred, like it takes a little bit of like stoke. And so you're going to meet people that are on the same wavelength.
100%, man. And like, I mean, there are the more extreme things like going to Hood in the summer, going to Austria preseason, sending it to Australia to snowboard in your summer or whatever. But even if like in Colorado, for example, if you live in Denver, you don't have a crew that's interested in boarding, just go, it's an hour and a half. Just like, even if you don't know anybody, maybe try to go 3 or 4 times, try to meet people on the chairlift, hike the park, have a session.
And just be open and friendly. Yeah. Like if you're hiking and someone's on the right of you and they just did a sick trick, simply just being like, yo, dude, that backflip was sick, and giving them a dap.
Yeah.
You can read their energy. And if they're stoked on your trick, you know what I mean? Just like keep the conversation going. A lot of people go and ride by themselves and they're looking
That's
for other
it,
friends.
dude. And you don't have to be like a super gnarly snowboarder to be accepted into like the group, man. No. Like people, if it's your first 50-50 or your first board slide, or you learn something new and you're stoked and you're trying, you're putting in the effort, like people are going to recognize that.
Yep. And the stoke levels are just as high, whether you land your first back 5 out or your first 50-50 front one. You know, it's a new trick, and that measurable level which is actually kind of gnarly, because then you have to keep upping the bar to like get that same feeling of stoke.
Dude, it changes over the years for sure.
So you've done, how long were you with Kevin? 5 years, 4 years?
So basically like from, I guess it started like late 2016-ish, pretty much 2017 up until late 2019. I was working like real closely with Kevin. We made a ton of it, like hundreds of videos. It was awesome. And then COVID happened.
Yep.
And so I was living in Whistler when that hit, sent it back to Colorado immediately. My family's in the States in North Carolina. So I was like, I've got to be at least within driving, able to drive if like, whatever happens. Mm-hmm. And that's when I kind of leaned more into more just being more independent and growing the Board Archive channel versus fully collaborating with Snowboard Pro Camp. And so that's been about 3 years now, and it's been great, dude. It's nice to just have like full creative control of everything and just know, that you can just kind of choose the path and not really have to worry about anything else. Yeah. Like working with Kevin was great. And I feel like he really let me do whatever I wanted to do. And like, we worked really great together, but it's been interesting being more independent on YouTube as well.
It's like being in a band where it's like, you have to take into consideration everybody's.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. You want everyone to be stoked for sure.
And that's what I love about like when I started making my content for the first couple of weeks, I was like using whichever songs because I wasn't monetized. And then one of my buddies hit me up and was like, yo, what are you going to do when you get monetized? Like with those old ones. And I was like, oh, well, when that time comes, I'll start using my own music or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, well,
that's a whole thing.
They're going to get like backlogged. And so all the old videos are going to be monetized. And like, I was like, oh shit, you're right. Like I need to do 100% creativity myself, like everything. And then when you see that like little green monetization thing, and it's like, it's so rewarding that you're like, yo, I created this front to back with like all unused stuff. Even if like people made songs and sent them to me, like they're not copywritten. It's like, so it's like a piece of content that is 100% creatively like not monetized, dude, by anybody else.
Can we shout out Gertie real quick?
Shout out Gertie freaking beats. Yeah, you're using his beats,
dude.
Too?
He hit me up not too long ago, and I have like a handful of videos where I started using his beats, and dude, they're so good. He's
catalog.
He crushed, and he's got so many songs too. Dude, he's dope too. He's got some good stuff in there.
He's the man, dude. He's flying out December 1st to Utah, and he's going to hop in the GnarV with us, and he's going to help with like selling merch on the road and driving and like organizing stuff all the way back east.
Hell yeah.
He's stoking out of his mind.
Dude, so I saw you mentioned you were going to announce the date. You were going to like be a little bit less off the cuff and try to announce some dates and, be a little more rigid with the schedule. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there'll be some flexibility, but how long are you trying the GnarV tour to be this year?
So it's like the only reason I haven't announced it is because I keep changing it instantly, and I'm like, yo, how close can I get? So like, originally we were gonna go up to Vermont. We were gonna try to like do the mid of the country to get back east, and then I was gonna fly to Florida. And then just the flights to Florida around that time ended up being so expensive, and parking the GnarV.
Dude,
so many people.
Christmas time is the worst.
Yeah, they were all claiming like come to North Carolina and like do some. There's a lot of surf, skate, snow as well, like up the coast. So we like restructured the last days from like the 15th to the 22nd or something, going to Vermont, and restructured it to go down through North Carolina to Florida. And then do the holidays there, and then cruise back up the East Coast, and then do like New England around like early January. But so we changed that. And then Daly is trying to wrap up all the stuff that he's doing and getting himself ready for winter to start. And we were going to start the day after Thanksgiving in Tahoe and do 3 days, and then go to Utah, a couple days there. And literally like 2 days ago, Dossie just told me that he was flying back east. and I was looking at the snow in Tahoe area, and it's just ruthless. Everybody's going to Mammoth right now because it's so bad. Even though Rose is super sick. So I was like, damn, do I want to like shoot over there? So literally like just yesterday, we already had the dates not announced, but like we have this huge freaking mapped out thing. We got a stoke coordinator now. This guy's an absolute legend.
Sick.
And he's every mile, every resort, which pass, color coded, red, green, blue, all this with like, dude, it's so sick.
Dude,
budget,
that's incredible.
Gas mileage. Yeah.
That's clutch.
Life changing.
Yeah.
But I just keep hitting this kid up like, yo,
we want to change
we got to change this. So now I'm like going to the East Coast. I fly there tomorrow and I'm going to do like through Thanksgiving there. Like I was telling you, Connecticut opens, Mount Snow opens, Killington's open. So I'm like, if I could go get like 4 or 5 stoked out videos over there, give Daly a few more days. So we kind of deleted the Tahoe 3-day section and I'm going to fly back at the end of the week and then just go straight to Utah and start it.
Okay.
But yeah, like you were saying, having some structure to give to the people so that they know, like even 2 days in advance to take off work or something, or to pick a specific mountain instead of another one is, I feel like it'll just have like 10 times the stoke turnout.
That's so sick. Yeah, I've seen like already just with the off the cuff stuff, like you got a lot of people showing up.
Yeah, I have a bunch of ways, like I have like that text platform. So like people in the area, I can like hone in and like let them know right away, or like Instagram stories and stuff. But yeah, the difference between like 14 or 19 people showing up and potentially having like 50, 80 people show up would just be so crazy.
That would be insane. I mean, even if it's like 15, like that's pretty cool to have a crew,
so sick.
Meet some homies, get to ride with you and the boys that you're with. Yeah.
Who's the best rider here? Like tossing out gear, like sponsoring someone at each mountain and like making sure you get them clips and tagging them in the edit and like putting on that area. It's crazy. Some places are like, they'll have a whole squad. And so like we'll show up to St. Louis and they'll be like, they have their own little St. Louis like shredder team and they're fucking waiting as we roll in the NAR. A dozen of the kids just waiting. And like we roll up, they're like, I called the crew. We saw an hour ago. You posted, you were driving through. Like we'll just see a resort and be like, what? There's lights over there. It's 6 p.m. Like, what's that? Google it. Oh, dude, they're open. Mad River. Yeah. We just go ride. And then they're like, all right, you guys got an hour to get here. And like all these homies start showing up and it's just like cruising, little like the tiniest little resorts with 15, 20 kids behind you all stoking is just, it's an insane vibe.
So good. Well, dude, I hope, I mean, it makes sense that if you do have a little more structure with a few days notice or a week notice that more people will show up. So yeah, I haven't done a lot of meetups. I feel like that's, it's a little intimidating.
It's gnarly. Yeah.
It's, I'm sure it's fun though. Everyone's probably just super stoked.
And I'm just so like in my body, like I'm so used to living. Like if I'm sore and I wake up and I was going to go riding, like if I'm not feeling it, I don't go riding.
Yeah.
That's a good way really hard for me to be like, we said we were going to be there. Like I'm exhausted. I have to get this edit out. We were supposed to film this podcast with this guy, but like, no, at 6 p.m. you said you're going to be in Denver at this board shop and you're going to meet up with kids. And it's like,
you got to like budget in the editing time too, I guess.
Yeah.
Or you're just editing on the GnarV.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we got the driver and I'm stoked for Gertie, TCAP, me and Daly, I believe should be.
Nice. How many bunks you got in that thing?
We have Daly has like a huge one over the front driver spot. Then we have the couch and the couch pulls out. But like that whole couch area is just like at the everything area.
That's like the living kind of area.
So if someone's sleeping there, it's like, you got to be up at 7 because I'm up at 6. You got to get the hell out of the way because I'm trying to edit. But it's a tight quarters there. But in the back, we have 4 bunks.
Okay.
Usually me and TCAP are on the bottom. And then the other 2, there's only like 3 feet of room. And we usually stuff like merch and snowboards and stuff up there. No. So we put it all to one side. So there's like 1 more bunk up top. But
okay.
We make it work.
It's a little tight.
I feel like with this structure that we do, if people know that like in 2.5 weeks, we're going to ride in Indiana, like we might be able to get hooked up with like some hotels and shit. So that way we could at least just like the GnarV can be a mess. Just we like show up, shred, and then just like
a little.
Right to the hotel. We don't have to like, cause you're always rebuilding your bed, rebuilding this area. You're just like, where's my goggles? Yeah. Everything comes out of the bag and you're just like, now your whole bed is.
All those little things, they add up when it comes to time, man. I know that's got to be the hardest part.
Time management.
Yeah.
Because I just see something as I'm walking around and I'm like, there it is. Boom, start. And then like, huh? Oh, that's got to get done. Just start there. I'm like halfway.
Dude, that's the worst. Yeah.
They say it's the worst, most productive way to do it.
Unlimited to-do list.
Yes.
Yeah, I can relate.
Instead of like honing in on something. Well, you literally traveled for like you said, 4 or 5 years with Kev all around the world. I remember you guys were going Hood in the summer and then like August, Chile.
We were
September, New Zealand,
thing,
October, Austria, like Japan. What's been your favorite zone? I'm sure it's impossible and it's condition wise, but like, what's your favorite nook?
Dude, I mean, if I had to choose one, I got to say Japan. That's probably my favorite place to travel to in general. Just the combination of the insane amount of snow they get, like how light and fluffy the snow is, the culture, the food,
the prices.
It's dude, yeah, it's very affordable out there. There's so much more to explore. I feel like it's easy to kind of go to the Niseko area, or I've done Hakuba once as well, just because those are on the Icon and Epic Pass. But they are about snowboarding in Japan, man. There's so many small resorts. You can do day trips from Tokyo on the bullet train, and it's great, man. That's probably my favorite spot. But I mean, dude, yeah, like you said, it's hard to say. There's so many good spots, and it depends on the time of year as well. Like if you do want to chase the year-round winter, I think it's, if you really are motivated to do that, you should do it at least once. Because there is kind of like a circuit. There's almost like there's a best place to be at any given time of the year.
Yes. And like one or two of them will overlap at the same time, like Chile and New Zealand, like which one. But at the end of the day, there is like a circuit. You have, I haven't seen it, but someone was telling me you're doing a Japan camp this year now too.
Yeah, dude. So that's been one of the coolest things that I've tried to do with the channel. And I've done it. Yeah. The last 2 years I did like a summer hood retreat. So I frame it up more like an experience. I'm not trying to like be out there coaching.
Yes.
I'm like offering advice, and I will coach, but that's not the main goal of it. Right. It's like going to hood in itself is such a dope experience.
Yes.
It's like the pilgrimage to hood, man. So, the snowboarding is great, but Oregon's such a cool state in the summer too. So like, going in the woods, going to the rivers, like, trying to hike. Have you hiked up to Illumination and done that whole thing?
Not Illumination, but I've done so many hikes to different lakes and so many different, just chilling in a raft on Trillium or going to Frog Lake.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's so beautiful, the volcanoes and
So that's been really rewarding. I did that the last 2 summers, and I plan to continue to do that. And then kind of having that experience of setting that up the last couple of years, I wanted to give it a go for Japan. So this year we're doing 2 weeks, and we still got a few spots left on the second week. It's going to be in Niseko. So if you got an Icon pass, there's a few days you could get comped there to make it a little bit cheaper. It's going to be the coolest thing I feel like I've ever done.
That's
with the channel,
saying.
Man. I'm so hyped on it.
So I didn't even know that until maybe like last week. And I've seen the camps that you guys do in the summer, and I was trying to get some people. I did my first camp ever, and it was a surf camp this summer.
I saw that. How'd that go? That was in Nico, right?
Yeah, and it was super sick because people just been hitting me up so much trying to get information down there. Where do we surf? Where do we go? Where do we stay? And I have so many connections and so many hookups. It's like I got people that'll hook you up for $20 or $50 or $250. Like, are you coming with your girlfriend? Do you want 3 meals? And
right.
I'm just so improv that I put this thing out with like 2 weeks and like 2 days.
No way.
So I had like 20 people hit me up. They were all down, but none of them could like budget it that quickly. And I had one kid that was so hyped, and he booked it, put the deposit down, came out. And I was like, towards the end, there was like only a couple of days left. I was like, yo, I'm just going to give this to you and like just dial you in. I'm not going to market it to anybody else because we didn't get the house. So the pricing and everything changed.
Yeah.
So I kind of just restructured it, and we went to a different area up north because that's how I am. I'm just, it's going to be better up here. Let's go up here. And he showed up. He was frothing out of his mind. Super cool kid.
That's so, how long was it? A week?
It was, 7 days.
So he just got like one-on-one chilling with you and the boys for a week.
Showed up. We had a car waiting for him at the airport, brought him straight to where we were, had a bed ready for him, Wi-Fi, food, hookup, massage, just like everything dialed in. We had a rental car. We drove him to the whichever break that we want. Like we have all the locations dialed, all the swell, all the tides and everything. Like there's a lot of information that goes behind it. So like you were saying with the camp, it's more about the experience. And if someone only has a week and they want to show up and score 6 or 7 days, if you go to Japan for a week, I promise you, if you're by yourself, you will not score for a week. Either the first day you're going to be at the airport trying to figure out what to do, where to go, where to stay, how to take a bus to a train to another one. And then like now you're looking around for a place. And if you don't like book all that stuff ahead of time, dude, you're going to spend hella money. You're going to spend just as much as you'd be charging for the camp. And so that's why I was like, yo, I just want to have it be like, whatever, $2,000, show up. You don't worry about anything.
It's all taken care of.
Front to back.
We know the spots. Like,
we got a filmer, like we'll give you clips. And like you said, we're not there to teach, but if you're hanging out with us, if I see Daly trying to do a trick and he's not doing it right, I'm going to give you advice. Like, bro, turn your head. So like, it's incorporated in it. You get featured in the videos, you know, so you get content out of it and stuff, but it's mostly just like what we were saying earlier, where if you don't have friends that are going to do it, come with us. You know, you got 10 or 15 people who are all like-minded. You know, you're going to show up. You got a warm bed. You got a comforter. Like, you're not going to die outside.
You're going to leave that trip with a group of new homies. Like, yeah, it's really cool, man. And being able to share something that you love and you're passionate about with, you know, someone who's never had that experience before, that's the coolest
best
part.
thing ever.
Yeah.
So what, we got to talk about that more. We might have to collab on something. How was setting all that up?
So this will be my 5th time to Japan. I'm going to try to go every year from now on. It's not too bad. I mean, like, you know, I learned a lot through the Mount Hood trip as far as like what has to be dialed in way in advance to make sure you can do it. And especially in Japan, like Niseko is a very popular area, arguably maybe like the most popular as far as snowboarding goes, especially in January, February.
Small area.
It's a small area. Yeah. So there's not a lot of accommodation.
Gets booked quick.
Yeah. Like, you know, we're booking it like 6 months in advance to make sure because, you know, if we're trying to host 10 people plus like the hosts, you know, you got to have a pretty big house, and everything in Japan is pretty compact. So if you're waiting until like 2-3 months in advance, whether you're trying to, you know, book something on your own, or if you're trying to set something up like a trip, you know, 90% of the accommodation is going to be gone by that time. So yeah, I mean, I just knew that was something I wanted to do. So I made sure to get that dialed in advance.
So you did it during the summer?
Yeah, I did it. I did it over the summer
with some downtime, because that's where I'm trying to get at, is like, how do you edit and travel and do all this stuff and handle comments and shorts and all this, but then also pick up a whole new gig of project creator, project manager, project marketer. You know what I mean?
Dude, honestly, it's so much work, and it's a lot of responsibility, because like whoever, you know, is signing up for this, they're trusting you to provide this experience. And I want to deliver on the highest level, you know? I
might need someone professional like you then. We might need to collab on something.
Dude, let's do it. Let's
double up the numbers. Let's load up a whole hotel. We'll bring
so
3
sick.
chaperones. We'll have Daly, Decap, and Gertie Beats just helping people out. I mean, it's on point there. You got everything from the shuttles to and from the mountain, the passes that you need, like everything. Like you said, you've been there 5 years in a row. Like, you'll potentially just not have as good of a trip if you go by yourself and you're trying to figure it all out.
You got the language barrier, and then like knowing the resorts, the terrain, you know, depending on how the snow comes in.
Not getting
like
lost.
that in itself, like, I mean, I wouldn't call it like guiding, but you know, we know
where not to go.
Yeah, we know where not to go. We know where to go on a given day, and so we're going to share that with everybody.
How do you manage the level of riding? Because power riding is difficult. Japan is the pinnacle of power riding. You got a bunch of freaking amateur stokers trying to hit you up with a bunch of bread. Like, how do you navigate that?
So this is the first time doing the Japan trip. So it's going to be, you know, it's the pilot. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with it, but I'm feeling really confident. Basically the way we have it set up to manage that is we've got 3 hosts. So it's going to be me, my best friend Bo, and my other good friend YEWWW, who actually lives.
Bo Pollard.
Bo Pollard, yeah.
I met him out. I think I met him in Japan. Yeah.
Oh, sick. Yeah, he's been there every time with me as well. So
sick.
I've known Bo like from the get-go.
That's
like,
what I was thinking.
We were roommates
you need
in
a couple
college.
Different people, maybe of levels, to like, 4 or 5 of these guys don't really want to go down the backside. Somebody handles them, or
exactly. So it's going to be at most a 4-to-1 ratio. And so if there's a group where, you know, maybe it's their first time ever riding deep POW, you know, we'll get that group together and we'll go somewhere mellow. We'll get them dialed in, make sure they have a great day, and you know, ride within their comfort zone, but still show them a great experience. And then if there's someone that's like been riding for a long time, they want to do like the gnarliest terrain, they want to maybe go out the gate system, whatever, like we'll accommodate that as well. And having YEWWW on the team has been a game changer. He's been helping me with editing, but he's also a professional photographer. So
oh shit, he's helping you with filming and editing and stuff, or
he does in Japan.
You said YEWWW?
YEWWW.
Oh, he lives out there.
He lives in Niseko.
Okay,
he lives
I
in
think I
Kuchan
know.
out there.
Okay.
So that's been huge too. Like he speaks pretty much fluent Japanese. So being able to get into the more local spots where there's more of a language barrier, that's been pretty sweet. Dialing in people with photos. And again, just having the local knowledge of terrain as well is huge. So I feel like it's going to go really smooth, but yeah, everything from the moment you get to the airport, shuttle to Niseko, food, accommodation, transportation, lift tickets, everything's dialed in already.
You're dialed.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Up! Wow. The best place on earth.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's jump into, I want to just show some love. We had a Patreon question here from Eric and Max Ott.
Okay.
Big fans of both your channels. We already did the favorite resort areas.
Did you do a post on Instagram about this?
No, on the Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I never know what's going to end up happening, so I never post stuff. You know what I mean? We did your favorite area, obviously, is Japan, but what are your favorite resort areas? And are you planning on getting any backcountry riding in this season?
Yeah. So, favorite resorts, I'm trying to spend most of like the main season from like November to April in Colorado as much as possible, or maybe traveling out to like areas fairly close, like Utah, Jackson. In Colorado, my two favorite resorts are Copper and Keystone. Copper, just like they've completely taken over the park scene. They have, I mean, it's not even comparable. Like they just have the best, arguably the best park in the country, I would say.
Yes.
Keystone's great for powder days, and that just comes down to like knowing the terrain there. They've got great trees, really, really fun zone out there.
What about worldwide?
Worldwide, I mean, you can't discount Whistler. Whistler is an amazing place. It's, I haven't been there in the last few years, but I mean, it's one of the very few places I would say that has everything, whether you want like mellow beginner slopes, groomers, amazing tree riding, steep trees, alpine, backcountry, a great park as well. Whistler kind of has a little bit of everything. They have that more like coastal snowpack. So, it's a little bit more moisture, wetter, heavier snow. So it's very different compared to Colorado or Utah, maybe more like Tahoe, Mammoth, I guess.
Okay.
And I mean, as far as summer boarding goes, I mean, Cadrona is probably my favorite. They're pretty rad if you can get down to New Zealand in the summer. And I was actually able to travel a little bit around New Zealand this year, which was sick. I've never been able to really do that. And such a beautiful country too. So if you're able to go to that part of the world and get some summer shreds in, they have like a world-class terrain park. It's all alpine. So it's, pretty much just go there if you want to ride park, I would say. I guess Treble Cone has some free riding, but that's on the same pass as Cadrona. But yeah, absolutely beautiful country as well. Great place to go explore for sure.
I would say I always got to go Mount Snow, even though they're
just
diminishing
to
and
the
they're getting rid of one feature every couple weeks. Me and Verde were talking about it, just like finding a place that has top to bottom feature after feature after feature with a high speed 4 that's just like
that's rare.
Greasy rails. You can I used to, when I wanted to work on front boards or switch front boards, I would just get there and the first rail is 8 feet flat bar. The second one's an 8-foot flat bar to a down bar. So it's just like front board. And then you come into a little 2-pack of jumps and I would just like ollie and like act like I was front boarding in the air. And then like come to the next one, it's a up, down, flat box, just front board. So by the time you're to the bottom, like I practiced 18 different front boards, like
just getting the reps up.
You just get it up. So that's how I lost. That's how I got like, I want to do back 3 melon, back 3 indie, back 3 nose grab, back 3 tail grab. I would just do like one run, back 3 everything. I'd gap over the rails, like back 3 nose grab, next jump, back 3 just nose grab.
That sounds sick. How many? I've never been to Mount Snow. I got to go to Vermont once, and we had a buddy who was working ski patrol at oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called now. It's one of the less common resorts
in
Okemo.
Oh, okay. They're open. They opened.
They're open already.
Or they open in like a couple days. which is, the comment section is going nuts at Mount Snow because
they're like, you gotta get out here.
No, Mount Snow, they're posting just like photos and it's not saying when opening day is and it's not in their profile. So people are just going nuts and they start talking shit. Oh, chemo's open. You guys have the best. Like Mount Snow, they literally claim they invest in an insane amount of money to have the best snowmaking system in New England. But they're basically northern Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they always did open reasonably early, and like Killington's always weeks beforehand because there's such high elevation, but Okemos just like right there. So if Okemo's opening,
they got to be close. They got to be close.
Yeah. I heard potentially Thanksgiving or the day before. So I literally might make it.
That'd be sick. Sick. I've always wanted to go to that area. I remember growing up in North Carolina, I feel like Killington was the resort, and where's Carinthia?
That's Mount Snow.
That's Mount Snow.
So Mount Snow is like a mountain, and then they purchased a smaller mountain like right around to the left of it. And forever it was just Mount Snow and the parks were over there. Then they turned Carinthia into the all mountain park. So it's like 12 runs, top to bottom, every run.
That was the spot that in North Carolina we were like, man, it looks like too much fun up there. We gotta go.
What about they touched on backcountry riding and we haven't gotten into that at all. You got the truck, you got the sleds. How did that start?
Dude, I mean, so I guess it started working at Evo when I was first starting the channel. Like when I left that finance job, I worked at Evo in the shop for a couple years. And
in 2016.
2016 to 2018, I worked there. And you know, when you work in the industry in a shop, like you get a lot of discounts on stuff, and split boards are just like notoriously expensive. And so had an opportunity to get into it there, had some people, you know, in the crew at the store to kind of show me the ropes and kind of give me the do's and don'ts on how to get started. And then, you know, eventually got my avalanche certification, started spending more time in the backcountry, like learning the local zones. And honestly, man, I keep it very mellow and conservative in the backcountry.
Let's hone in on that AVI class that you went to and how you approach that, because that's the only reason I'm not out there is because I'm way too intelligent to just go out there and be stoking and dying.
Good. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think to be perfectly honest, I think the more that you learn about backcountry safety, the scarier it is.
Yes. That's what I figured.
But yeah, like I think the stat is like 90% or 80% of avalanches happen in terrain that's between 30 degrees and 45 degrees, which is like the dope terrain that you want to ride.
Yeah.
So like right away know that like it's better to keep it mellow, you know, do some low angle surfing, get some like untracked lines. You can still have it
under 30.
Under 30. Yeah. So you can still have a great time out there keeping it mellow. Cause there's, you know, for an avalanche, you have to have the terrain, you have to have a trigger, and you have to have a weak layer in the snow. So you have to have all three. So if you can eliminate as much of that as possible, preferably all of those variables, then, you know, you can stay pretty safe out there. And I don't want to like present myself as an expert in avalanche safety or anything, or be trying to teach people about that. But if you are going to spend time out there, I would say, you know, try to find a mentor, take a class, keep it mellow, and, you know, just understand the risks that are involved.
Yeah. You're not physically doing the teaching of it, but you're letting people know the knowledge of like, get the knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. It can't be understated, man. And having the right gear too, you know, especially if you're split boarding, you know, it's totally different from riding the resort. You know, you're hiking more than you're snowboarding. So like, your setup out there is totally different for heat management, making sure, you know, you don't have like a soaking wet cotton layer next to your skin that's going to keep you freezing cold all day after you get to the top.
Sun goes down because you've been waiting to get that line.
Yeah, man. And, you know, and even that too, you know, like especially later in the season, the temperature changes throughout the day, and that can change the variables with the safety as well. So my whole strategy has just been keep it mellow. There's tons of fun to be had out there that way. And I just like getting untracked power lines, dude. Like that's why I go in the backcountry. I'm not trying to like do some crazy cliff or whatever. I would like to maybe start building some jumps. I think that could be fun, and that can be done relatively safely as well. But yeah, it's rad, especially in Colorado, dude. Like once you have that experience on like, oh, I can go out here for 4 hours and get like 3 or 4 amazing zero track, like deep POW lines, it kind of ruins a resort POW day. I'm going to be honest.
Well, a lot of times at a resort on a POW day, you're waiting in lift lines. And then by the time you go up there, it's tracked out. So if you do like hike on that edge to get the better one, like you're really only getting 2 or 3 runs that are, that fucking good run.
I mean, resort POW days are super fun. Like you can find soft turns, most of the day, but to get like a fully untracked line is a cool experience.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't graduated to that point yet.
Dude, if you can come back out here later in the season, like March or something, we'll take the sled out and we'll get out there.
I'm going to fuck around and get a jet ski and do the jet ski tow-ins before I do the snowboard tow-ins. Like the camp, dude. I'm holding the surf camp. I haven't even done a snowboard camp. I'm like, we've been putting off the jet ski for 2 years now.
Dude, is that like a pretty big game changer with surfing?
Woo! Like you said, like you spend most of your time hiking. You only get 3 runs.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could just like snowmobile right up to the top, drop your boy off. You get 40, 50 runs in. It's the same type of deal.
That has been, I invested in a sled like 3 years ago, and that has been the best purchase of my life.
15K, 20K. What do we
mine was 10. I got it. It was a couple years old. It had like 1,000 miles on it, but it's a Ski-Doo Summit X 165 long track, 850.
Sick.
For anyone wondering. So it was a lot of sled to start with. I feel like I kind of got a handle of it now, but
do you have you just throw it in your truck, or do you tow a trailer behind it?
I started with a trailer because I had a really small truck. And then about a year and a half ago, I got a full-size truck. And so now I just pull it right up in the bed of the truck, roll up to the trailhead, wherever you want to go, and then rip out to the spot. And dude, like last year, one day me and Bo went out there and just like, doubled out 2 people on one sled. We got 16 laps in like 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
fun.
The next level. Like we got to graduate, but I'm just not willing to do anything if I don't take classes and courses and just get so dialed in.
That's when it comes to, on the snowboard side, like that's definitely the way to do it. And I'm looking at getting my Abby 2 now and just like constantly trying to improve that knowledge,
Yep.
Dude, while we're on the subject of surfing, I got to say, watching your whole progression and you just being like, and I feel like this has kind of been a theme with your channel. You're just you do what you want to do and you're just like documenting it, which is dope. And 100%. Like, I know you've probably felt that pressure on like, there's more of a snowboard audience and you get, get more views or whatever. So, but you're not giving into that. You're like, I want to go to Bali for however long. And like, I'm just going to, I'm going to surf.
Yep.
Dude. And you're like a badass surfer now, dude. It's so sick.
It's been like when you said, when COVID hit in 2020 and like you had a shift and you started a new channel, that was the same time where like I had a life shift and I was like, they shut down the resorts.
Yeah.
And I couldn't snowboard legally, but you could go in the ocean. Some places you couldn't legally, but
right.
I had the place in Baja. Me and TCAP went down there and like 3-4 months go by and we're like, yo, this is the progress that we needed. Like I kept leaving and going snowboarding and then I'd surf for 2-3 weeks and it'd take a week to get back. It's like going to Hood, like the first couple of days you're sore, the next couple of days you're trying to your stance was too close because you put your, like everything, it takes a minute to break it in. And yeah, every time I go somewhere for like 3 months surfing, I just like the first month I'm getting everything back and then you see the progression and then you see the real progression and then you leave and it's like,
then you're just like, can't wait to go for the next one.
Yeah. But I think that's a huge part of my channel is like, I'm trying to just create entertainment, like you said, like document it. And then whatever happens, like I'm uploading my videos and I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the thumbnail is.
Yeah.
Everything's all there and I'm peeling through like,
dude, same.
How do I milk this thing for what it like really is? Cause a lot of times like if I do a day and I go to like Woodward, the bunker and do a bunch of stuff indoors, like that's a whole video that people want to watch. But then we go and ride Copper and it's like, well, we're obviously going to do a snowboarding title and all that, but it's like, how do I let people know that we were at both of them? It's a tough one, but
that's a whole
you got to
different side of YouTube.
You got to just do what you love,
dude. And like props to you for doing that. And it seems like it's working, man. Like I know when you first started surfing, it was such like a huge shift on the channel and then you've kind of built up that as well.
Well, now I feel like I probably have like 5 or 7, maybe 8% of surf followers now in that whatever ratio that I have, which is tight. But soon as cause like this whole year I did 4, 5, 6 months surfing this summer. And I was actually like getting better And you got to be a decent rider to actually have people like surfers want to watch your stuff. So at first I was like, yeah, of course I'm not like gaining a huge surf following. I'm falling.
Yeah.
I can't turn. I'm not getting barreled, you know?
Right.
But like showing the documentation of it, like you said, and the hard work that goes into learning something new is huge. And then I was like, all right, we're going back to snow now. Hope everybody's stoked, blah, blah. And I had like 15, 20 comments like, snow, what the hell, bro? Like, you need to go to here, like Hawaii in the winter. So I have all these surfers now that are like, no way, dude. We need you in the water. You can't get off your board.
Maybe you can do both. Dude, North Shore in the winter, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. But that's why I wanted to just surf so much, was that I could get to the level like kind of where I'm at in snowboarding, where it's not like a whole thing to learn. Like I want to just be able to like if I snowboard, I could not snowboard for 6 months, strap in, like you're still riding, you're hitting park features, you're doing 360s and 7s and stuff.
How did you pull out 7 of 8 270s for Copper opening day? What was up with that?
I fucking love Copper, dude. It was a short little greasy down bar. I don't know. I was just on one of the Verde bros.
Was that like your second or third day back on the board or something?
Yeah, that was day 4 in a row, which was gnarly.
Wow.
Driving from LA to Mammoth, riding Mammoth, sleeping in 0 degree Mammoth weather, riding Mammoth, driving to Tahoe, riding Nevada, flying to Colorado, all like every day I rode. And I think that was just, I don't know, sometimes you just got to show up. Copper's just so, you said it. It's
dude,
so
I didn't even know you had it like that, man. That was wild. That was cool.
I didn't really know either. I've been feeling good. I've been eating clean lately. I've been working out like crazy. So I feel like I lost 30 pounds in the past 3.5 months, which is fucking crazy. So I got like flat ground backflips back. I can jump hella high. So I just feel
sick.
When you like put that much work into yourself, it's
yeah.
like, all right, dude, you can fucking 270 onto this rail first try.
Right.
Don't lie to yourself.
Dude, was it the switch hard way back that you missed?
Switch hard way back too that I didn't even go for, because dude, looking at the footage, you ever like my first switchback 2, I think I landed at like 2nd or 3rd try. And when I was looking at the footage later, I was like, oh, that was good, dude. It's a vlog. Like I could have used that one, but I think I must have tried 14 more of them till I like really perfectly bolted. Like I'm filming for a movie or something.
Yeah.
And then I just was so dehydrated. It was my first day in Colorado.
You were hiking that part.
Hadn't hiked. I was fasted the day before because I flew, didn't eat breakfast that morning. I was just like shaking. And like by the time I got up to, you got to know when you're like, all right, dude, where's your limit? Like are people really going to be that bummed out because you didn't do the 8th switchback hard way too? Or are you going to injure yourself because you're fucking smoked? You can't stand up.
Dude, yeah. Is that on your mind much? Let's talk about that for a second. Cause like getting injured, like, does that ever get in your head as far as like, I don't know if I want to try this because like there's more of a chance, like I don't feel as strong about this feature, this trick or whatever.
For sure. I go off of pure feeling. And if I'm not feeling it, but like I don't think about it really. I mean, I'm super intellectual and that's why I don't push it so hard. Like that's why I'm not trying switchback 12s and like back dub 12s that often. Like the conditions got to be proper because I'm trying to ride every single day. But yeah, I avoid even the thought of injury. Even like when I hear people telling their friends about something that happened to them, or just like even bringing it up, if someone's talking to me and telling me about like an injury that they had, I'll look at them and start dialect in my head about something else and picture myself like landing something clean, like image my whole body being like perfect. And I'm just like, yeah. Cause I legitimately feel like it may be a delay or it might be microscopic, but like when you're talking about injuries and you're putting out that like, it just feels weird. Like the odds of it are, even if it's 1% more, I don't even like to like, dude, I'm a realist, you know, like people get messed up and shit. Yeah. But like if if something's bothering me, I don't tell my friends. If I have a little tweak or something, I always word it like my buddy Mito, Anthony, we both have this thing where like if something happens to him at the skate park and like he twists his ankle and I see it happening and he rolls a whole like come up to me smiling and be like, ankle feels great. And I'm like, you look like you got a great ankle. And he's just like, it's already healing. And it's like focusing on like good healing, getting better, not like, oh, my ankle's fucked. Oh, I hurt this. You can say the same thing, just restructured with like, ooh, my ankle's not doing the best. But I feel like when you say ankle the best, like you don't want to put any negativity out there. Yeah, and you're like radiating the energy, but you're also like you're emitting it, and your body has frequencies that are healing, like hurts that are measurable. So it's like if you're meditating on feeling good and like picturing the molecules in your body, like healing your stuff and you're stretching, I honestly just believe that stuff helps so much. And I've gone a long time pretty injury free. Like even
I love to hear that, dude. I feel like
things.
Knock on wood, I'm doing all right in recent years. I've had a couple rib things happen in the last couple of years, but nothing major.
I was there for that one. That was a good one. Stubai, right?
Oh my gosh, that was shoulder.
Fuck that.
Yeah, that was. I forgot you were there for that one.
That was good. I think,
dude, it's because I'm going to use the cop out. I'm blaming it on the board, dude. It was definitely the board's fault.
What board? What kind of specs should we not be hitting? Fucking the Stubai. That was the rail, right?
It was the 19 drop. Yeah. And dude, like 2 days after I left, I see freaking Kyle Mack just do the nastiest front blunt on it. And I'm just like, oh my God.
God, yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to, I mean, it was my fault. Yeah. It was just like, a new board. I wasn't super comfortable on it. It was a Mervin board. So it had magnet traction, sharp edges. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but
that's what I started on. What do you think about skate bananas? That was the first board I ever learned on.
Dude, funny enough, I just tested a skate banana for the first time last season. And I don't know how much it's changed over the years. I remember when it first came out originally and like the whole rocker craze started.
2011, the banana magnet traction. That was a freaking big step up in the tech game.
Dude, it was, man. I remember just like my homie got this
you can't catch.
It was a Rome Artifact rocker. It's like the most noodly board ever. I bought one because I saw him do the tallest nose press I ever saw in my life.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I still have that board, but I'm sure, it's evolved since then. That was a long time ago. The tech of like board construction has changed, but dude, it's a pretty good board, man. Like if you're just starting out or, maybe you've been renting and you're like, you've got the fundamentals down and you want something you can kind of start exploring the mountain with, maybe ride the park, maybe try some butters, maybe get better at carving. Mm-hmm. It's not bad, dude. It's more of a mid flex. It's not super soft, like versatile enough to
this
really
is the banana, right? The
skate banana.
Skate banana.
Yep.
When should you get off of it? Because that's what I noticed.
I mean, I would say if you started on rocker or like a rocker dominant board, because all the Mervin boards are like hybrid. So there's like camber in the profile underfoot, but overall it's like got that rocker shape. Try camber after maybe say like 40 to 50 days under your belt.
Okay.
Like then you're probably a pretty strong snowboarder. You're riding, maybe you're getting into black terrain already. And you can just get a lot more out of a camber board. Like you do got to be a little bit more on point, kind of like turn initiation is going to be a little bit different. The feeling of flexing the board and the precision you're going to find in it.
You can't be lacking.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. And there's so much different tech in boards now to kind of like mitigate that or make it more precise or, however you want to tailor it, as you really get into it, you can kind of dial that in. But
how do you keep up with all the new tech?
Dude, I just love it, man. And like, look, I'm fortunate enough to like, kind of have relationships with a lot of the brands now where I'm able to I try to do 40 boards a season.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 to 4 boards from each brand. And I kind of get the seasonal refresh on like, okay, this board's new. They added this tech. This is like a new construction thing they have, or they updated this, what have you. So it's just like compounded over the years.
And how much of the tech do you think is like actually changes when you get on a board? Like if someone's an intermediate rider and they're on a specific board and something else like that's maybe tailored more towards them, they get on that new setup. How much do you think that can actually change someone's riding, like for the better?
Oh, dude. I mean, I think,
or for the worse.
It can dramatically change, how you feel on a board. Like if you've been riding a softer rocker board your whole snowboard career, and then you switch to like a more mid flex
daily
camber, dude, like you're going to be ollieing
popping
like so much higher.
Yep.
You're going to carve way more aggressively, more confidently. There's just, it can change a lot. And then, there's a lot of 3D shaping happening in the space now. A lot of different brands are throwing their spin on that. And that can be a lot of fun as well. So like a brand I've really liked a lot for just personal days on the mountain has been Battalion. And they have this triple base tech where all their boards are full camber. So you get that energetic feel and that precision. once you figure out the pressure you need to lock the edge in. But when you're flat base, it's like super catch free. You can butter around without having to worry about anything. And
is that the board that has the bottom that's like hard to lock in on rails? Because they say it's like almost opposite beveled. Which one is that?
I mean, it could be. I could see someone give that take on a Battalion, and they have more jib focused boards that have, the way they do it is like between your feet, it's like a regular snowboard. Outside your feet, they have the triple base. So it's like a center base that's like a normal snowboard, and then the base and edge bevel up on the sides outside your feet. So they vary the width of that center base. So their more jibby boards have a wider middle. So it feels pretty much like a normal board, but you still get that catch-free benefit. And then they're more like powder shapes. It's like super narrow. So when you're going in soft snow, it's kind of like displacing that snow more efficiently. And those can be pretty loose on hardpack. But dude, yeah, like I'm riding an Endeavor this year, and they have it like just lifted right at the contact points. Jones has like their spoon 3D tech in the nose, and that's more aimed at powder. Arbor also has contact point 3D shaping, and there's a lot out there now.
So what do you think for someone who's more of a beginner, like trying to work towards that intermediate? Like, because I know with surfing, like I don't notice like if the board's just dramatically bigger, if it's a 1.5 feet bigger, I get it. But like there's so much to shaping the nose versus shaping the tail versus making it thicker. Like there's every variable that you can think of. And then there's fins and all that. And like for the first couple of years, I don't notice the difference. I could put a completely different set of fins in that are loose, that are catchy and whatnot. And then get on a board that's drivey, but I don't actually notice any of it. And then like as a couple more years went by, I started realizing like if I go to do a turn and I have a certain set of fins in and then I put a different one in, it's like loose.
Right.
At what point do you think it's like very important for some like an intermediate rider to like dive into those tech things to maybe take their riding to the next level or see what's hindering them?
Dude, yeah, that's a great point. And I think, kind of what you were getting at is like you're able to push the board more. You're, kind of getting close to the limits maybe of what that board can do. So then you're able to kind of feel those nuances. And I think with snowboards, especially if you're more beginner intermediate, you're buying your first or second snowboard, definitely, I don't think that fancy tech really matters as much. I would be focused more on, get a more entry level, mid-level snowboard. Don't be spending $600-700 on a board. You're not going to notice, that it has like cork in the sidewall and like it has these special carbon stringers or it uses, whatever.
Things that Travis Rice would dramatically notice and change how he turns and all that won't actually affect someone who's
right. I think, just like at the base level, it's just like the profile is going to make the biggest difference. So, if you were on, let's say, a rocker board, or like a flat to rocker for a long time and you want to go more camber, you could get a hybrid board. So it's camber between the feet. So you get that more stable body out of the snowboard. It is going to have a little bit more energy, but then it has some rocker in the tip. So it's like a little bit less catchy, a little bit easier to turn. And it's kind of like easing you into that feeling before you go into like full camber,
it's on you. You make an error.
And dude, honestly, like true full camber is pretty rare still. Like even like, I like to use the Salomon Huck Knife Pro as an example. It's like their highest end twin that you see like Dusty Hendrickson freaking doing triples on, like Ryan Walkendorfer uses it in the pipe. Mm-hmm. And it has a tiny rocker blend right at the contact points to just make it a little bit mellower. Like true camber, there's a few out there. But it is noticeably more precise. And
what about somebody who they're getting back into riding? They haven't ridden in 11 years and they pulled their old board out of their basement. Like how important is even just any of the new tech to get on?
I think, if you have a board, go for it. But the construction tech has changed so much in that time period, just everything from the materials to the nuances in the design. Even if you got a more like inexpensive board, but you upgraded to something newer, I think you could have a lot of benefits with that. But I mean, I would say, when you want to start looking at maybe getting something that's like very purpose specific or does have like that super high end materials built into it, it's more when like you've you want to cater to a specific type of riding. You know, like if you've realized like, hey, when I go out to the resort, I just want to go fast and I want to carve. And like, maybe I want to like go in the Alpine or whatever, then get a board more tailored to that. And then, you know, you might notice a board that, you know, has those features and that tech that give it that more powerful feel or, you know, whatever you want. Or if you have spent a lot of time in the park and, you know, you've been hiking, you've got like a nice bag of tricks down, you're good on the small medium line and you want to start stepping up to the large line, and you don't want a board that's like going to be washing out all the time. You know, maybe step up to a more higher end park board that has that more stability or has more carbon in it that's going to, you know, help you ollie higher.
I had a DC Ply. Is that reversed?
I haven't ridden that one. I'm not sure.
Or no. Focus. I think it was a DC Focus.
I only ever tested a couple DC boards. They're stopping making snowboards, I think, after this year. I think this is the last year.
Stop it.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me for sure, but I'm pretty sure I heard that.
You know what I was saying is I love
Very
seeing
limited.
The Sebi DeBuck when he was on the DC. That looked so good under him for some reason.
Dude.
I don't know why.
DC is one of those just like iconic brands that go way back to like high school.
That's what I mean. They're like the whole reason I got into snowboarding, and obviously because of Torstein and what. But I wanted to say when I had I think it was the Focus, I remember coming into jumps at Hood. I broke my board, and so it was actually I could never do nose presses because I had just DC Plies for my whole life, and it was like you got to really know how to nose press. So I never really had them like proper, and then I got on a Focus at Hood, and they had a down bar with a donkey, and I actually have the only time I've ever got a sick nose press photo in my life, and I'm like,
or is it like on the donkey, like through the kink, or?
It's like going down and into it from behind, and it just looks so sick. But I remember coming into jumps that same time period when I was on that board, and just literally felt like a fucking piece of computer paper was my nose and tail. You know what I mean? It's just like flapping around as I'm coming in, and the whole thing's kind of shaking. The chatter's
real.
And then I understood. I was like, this is why all these the dudes at Mount Snow on the Carinthia team, they all are super jibbers. And then we'd go like at the end, you end up at Inferno, and they're all just like, I'm good. Or like, you know, shifty 180s and stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand how you guys aren't hitting kickers. And they're like, well, I don't understand how you're not nose press, you know, switch nose pressing and like pretzel 270 with this, like this flex. And that's what finally like made sense to me.
Yeah, man. When you start to dive into that specific stuff, like if you want to do the super techie rail tricks, you want to be doing nose press, front three, whatever, like, the type of board you're riding, especially for pressing, can make a huge difference. But there's always a compromise, right? So like you said, you're going to be finding chatter on that thing, and it's going to feel squirrely when you start
sinking
going
in the POW, and it's just going to be, I need 3 boards. I need a nose press board, a jump board, and a POW board.
There you go, dude.
When did you and how did you get involved in the Snowboarder mag thing? And like, were they wanted to hire someone that was doing gear reviews for their channel or your channel or a combo, or how does all that work?
Dude, so it's Snowboard Mag, not Snowboarder.
Okay.
But they hit me up 2 years ago, just via Instagram, and they actually were relaunching the magazine. So Snowboard has historically been a more product focused magazine. And I want to say in like the early 2000s, they were kind of popping off, and then, I don't know if they shut down completely or what the story was, but they kind of went away for a few years. And then some of the guys from the mag actually, I think, worked at Snowboarder for a few years. And then, that whole shift with Transworld and Snowboarder happened, and like print changed a lot over the last few years. They revived Snowboard Mag, and they are still primarily focused on print, which is incredible. Those guys do such a sick job. Definitely check them out if you haven't, but they wanted to kind of be more in the online space as well. And I was just honored that they reached out at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they said, they'd seen the reviews. They liked the style that I do it. They liked the way I talk about the boards, and it was so legit, honestly, dude. They wanted to get me in the fold with what they were doing, but they weren't like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. They were like, you do exactly what you're doing, but we just want to be involved.
Sick.
So
that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep doing your creative, we love what you're doing. Let us just support you and help put you on through our medium as well.
Dude, it was so cool. And yeah, I learned a lot from those guys, and, still still tight with them. And I think we're kind of figuring out plans for the upcoming season. But yeah, that was, but it was just like an Instagram DM and kind of, we're bringing that magazine back and trying to dive more in the online space, I think was kind of the whole deal behind it. But
I almost want to jump into a segment. I haven't prepped you for it, but the company Candy Grind, they've been sponsoring forever. They make epic apparel, epic gear.
Colorado brand, right?
Super Colorado, super based CG habitats. And we have this segment that I just call Ask Cdub Anything. And for a while it was like Jamal would do like sports stuff and be like, name 5 current NFL players or NBA players. And I will just get embarrassed. So I'm just gonna have you ask me anything, maybe something snowboard tech related. Just try to confuse me, shut me down live.
Let me think here. Man, have you ever dove into like board specs? Like, do you know the numbers on like side cut radius or like waist widths and like all that stuff?
Nope.
Okay, I'll ask one for you. I'm going to ask one for you that I think you might know because I think I've heard you talk about this. If you're looking at buying a new board and you have bigger feet, what size boot would you say you should start looking for a wide board? Or like, because they make wide versions of boards if you guys are unfamiliar.
11?
Yeah, that's spot. I would say like 10 and a half, even like a 10 you could start considering, but 10 and a half, 11, I would say that's.
Well, I have 12s and I never rode a wide until last year. And I used to take my boot, put it in the binding, flip it up, and I would take a fucking X-Acto blade and cut off the heel and cut off the nose and try to like, because there's probably like an inch of like good warm protecting gear, you know, and I round off as much as I can, and I literally get like a ½ inch on each side.
Dude, toe drag and heel drag is real, and it is the worst thing ever.
The worst, bro. I got on a wide last year and my whole life changed. It took me like 2 days to like really learn how to, like, you start initiating getting up onto an edge and it doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden it all happens at once, you know. It's like a bigger board goes up.
It's a little more effort to get it up on edge for sure.
But Nate House, big bodied Nate, he rides a wide, and he was telling me, he's like, I mean, it took me a couple days, blah blah blah, but I was like, really? I was like, I'm switching then. I'm gonna fight through that window in like 2-3 days.
You get used to it
instantly. Yeah. Snowboarding for the first time in my life.
Dude,
laying down carbs.
I was about to say.
No toe catch. Going heel. Like, I can't even go onto a heel edge without my heel starting to grab. And once I got on the wide, I was able to like go heel and actually like carve.
Dude, I think there's a couple things to talk about real quick on that, just for the people in case they don't know. First one I wanted to ask you, kind of going along with like that, the boot size is like, do you know what waist width when you stepped up to the wide, like how much wider it got? Or do you know like what a rough wide waist width would look like?
No.
So I would say above 26 centimeters. So typically for like a park board, you're going to be looking at like around 25 centimeters, like within to 25.7 in that range. And then wide boards, depending on the brand, some brands make boards wider than others, above 26. Like if you have like an 11 or 12 boot, I mean like 26 and a half easy, you could enjoy.
You have to.
So that's something to look at, you know, and just like understand the specs on paper. Like if you know what all those numbers mean, you can really have a much better understanding of how that board might ride without ever having ridden it.
Okay.
So I think that's huge. Also, you said you had pretty bad heel drag.
Yep.
Centering the binding on the board, I think is huge too. That's like such an overlooked step when you're setting up your board, and it's different from brand to brand depending what binding you run. I think are you running the Ultras right now from Union?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those blue ones over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the Ultras. So,
you can turn the plate sideways or vertical. And I've always had it sideways.
Dude, but you don't want to turn the plate vertical.
Well, that's how you go up and down, like more toe or more heel.
That you can, but
then there's also the heel.
Then you eliminate the stance width,
which is
variability, which depending on your preference, I mean, you certainly could do that, but I like to kind of like really have that micro adjustment on the stance width.
So crucial. Figure that out.
With Union, it's just the heel cup. So you can like, really you just want the boot to be centered, right? So there's the same amount, if there is overhang, which there usually is a little bit, you have the same amount of heel and same amount of toe hanging over the board. So with Union, you can use the heel cup. With other brands, you know, sometimes it's like built into the base plate or like the chassis of the binding. So just, you know, whatever binding you have, look into it. Most bindings have that adjustment, and that's like a crucial but often overlooked step that I think if you are dealing with any kind of drag, or you notice like your toes are good, but your heels are
than the other. Cause mine are like pretty much even. So I'm like, well, if I'm pushing it forwards, we're getting more toe drag. If I go back, we're getting more heel.
Yeah. So, you know, even as like the kind of if you have the right width board, then you can kind of, it shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't really ever notice it.
Sick.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know a ton about like, as far as the actual competitive snowboarding stats and facts either. I would try to like quiz you on that, but I don't even know myself.
That's good. We just needed to show that one episode where I don't get bodied is nice. Usually I'm sitting here and I'm just like, oh God, name this country and this place. And I'm like, where is it? What guy? What team? Yeah. But no, much love to Candy Grind, Colorado Stokers. They're always hooking you guys up. And they hook me up. So
shout out Candy Grind.
Shout out CG Habitats.
One of my first mitts when I moved to Colorado, I had a couple pairs of Candy Grind, and they're good. They're quality. I'm sure they're even better now.
They're probably still going.
I still have them.
These things are durable.
They're like their backup glove now, but I still got them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sick.
Cool graphics too. Yeah, dude. No, I'm stoked that we got to talk about some snowboard tech a little bit. You know, if I could talk literally all day about that.
I know. I need to sit here and just soak it up because I don't know anything. My big thing is I'm always like, at least from the beginning, is like, don't even worry about the gear as long as you find something where you don't have pressure points and you're not like uncomfortable. Like if you get comfy, be grateful, be lucky, and like get 100 days on snow.
Right.
And like you said, like get 50 days before maybe you want to switch over. Like it might not be as important.
Well, dude, I mean,
you're comfy.
Also, like, I don't know about when you started snowboarding, how often you were able to ride, but I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, even people that live in Denver, like if they get 20, 30 days a year, like that's a lot, you know?
That's a huge thing too, is being able to measure it. Someone tells you that they've been snowboarding for 5 years, but earlier when you said, well, like 50 days, and I was like, dude, that is so crucial, because just because you snowboarded when you were, that was my biggest thing, is when I really started in 2019 or 2012, when I was 19, it was like, I went from snowboarding 8 to 10 days on the weekends, my first 10 years from 8th grade until I was 18.
Same.
And then I started snowboarding, and I was like 33 days that first year is when it clicked. And I was like, all right, this has to be 80 plus. And then the next year was 80. And then that's when I'm like, all right, now I've been snowboarding for like a year and a half. Before that was,
if you have the opportunity to make that commitment, whether you're like moving to a mountain town for the first time or getting your first season pass, whatever it is, that is a game changer. Like for me as well, I'd say from like 10 to 17, I was going like less than 10 days a year.
Yeah.
And then I got my first season pass at App when I was 18, and I was like, I think 70. Mm-hmm. And that was when I like actually started to learn tricks and was able to really like figure things out.
Not be brutally sore every time you ride.
Yeah. Dude, and I think too, when you do get to that stage where you are able to start stacking those days in a season, just talking about gear, you know, you mentioned like being comfortable is huge, more than focusing on the details. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. And I think the number one thing is getting like a good pair of boots that feel good.
Yes.
Because if your feet are hurting, like you're not going to even want to be out there.
Yep. And you do have, like, there is a little bit of like, you got to feel good by looking good. So like, if you have the money and you have the budget and you can drop $600 on a new outerwear kit and it's going to make you feel like you're fucking a G and like, you know, bone your tricks out, like something's to it. But if you're stressing on money and you just want to get better at riding and you're not tripping over how you look and whatnot, like, dude, don't be going and buying that gear. Like, get those hours on the board. But what do you know about fucking feet, dude? How do we stop the foot pain?
Oh, dude. I mean, I think so I did a lot of boot fits when I was working at the shop, and you know, the biggest takeaway is everyone's foot is different, and every brand of boot also fits differently. You know, like some brands are going to have a wider toe box, some brands have a narrower heel pocket, some brands have a tighter instep, and you know, maybe you see, you know, this brand has like this team that you love, and like they ride these boots and you want to ride those boots, and then you try them on and they just are not working for your foot. You know, consider something else. Try a few different brands on, figure out what feels good on your foot, and
should there be foot pain
from there?
Like, should you, first time you put your foot in this boot, should it be tight and brutal and like it's going to be a couple months?
So there's a little bit of a debate there. A couple months, absolutely not. If you want like a more performance fit, or if you're trying to get 100, 120 days out of your boots, you know, so for me, for example, my feet measured to a 9.5, but I found a boot that I can wear an 8.5, and the first like 3 to 5 days, they kind of suck. I'm not going to lie. Like, it hurts a little bit, but that 4th or 5th day, it's money. And then I can wear them for 100 days and I get that lower profile. And like, and from my experience, like what I would shoot for is to find a boot that when you're done riding, you don't even care if you take your boots off. They're just like, you can just walk around the rest of the day and it just feels fine.
That would be. I take my boots off mid-run, 8th run in.
Dude,
side of the trail.
We got to figure something out, Casey.
I need a custom design tailored. I'm a different specimen, bro. I broke my foot when I was skating growing up, and my pinky toe, like 5th metatarsal, busted. And instead of getting it in a cast or anything, I walked around with my
you just
arched, and the bone healed like that.
Oh no!
So
dude.
my pinky toe, when I put it into a boot, is too high, gets pressed down, and is indenting into my ring toe. And now I have a callus on my ring toe that is literally fucking just like indenting. It's so gnarly.
That's a unique scenario. But yeah, maybe get some, like, you could look into getting some custom boot work done, which isn't as common in snowboarding, but if you have like a specific spot, you know, you could maybe get that like punched out a little bit or something.
That's literally what needs to happen,
but
because it's bad. So
yeah,
I would recommend heat molding to people, right?
Most boots, like the most common brand, and some brands have brought it in-house. Like I think Burton does their own now, but Intuition liners are one of the most common ones you'll see out there for like high quality boots, and even trickling down to the more entry level models now. And they will mold over time just wearing them. But if you want them to be comfy from day one, you can heat mold them.
Yeah. I got a boot scenario for life. That's just tough.
I hate to hear that, man.
I get in hot tubs with my boots right out the box.
That's wild. I saw you do that.
Yep.
And
I run them over with cars. I have other people wear them for weeks.
Have you ever destroyed a boot, like doing that, just trying to break it in, like ripped a seam out or something?
I hope it rips. That's the only thing. You know what I mean? If my boots aren't ripped, if they don't have hole, if they're not cracked where they bend, like I literally, if I could just put like 10 socks on my feet and just strap in, that's how I want my boot. Like I want my ankle and foot to be able to bend and twist. And I know a lot of people just snowboard with like rock solid boots.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of high back lean, where like all of a sudden I'm on my board and I'm just like, it's too much, like everything. As soon as you do something, it's like something happens. Whereas I like to be able to like move my ankles and everything and have nothing happen until I like tighten and engage it.
Dude, that's and you know, that's like a personal preference for everybody that they'll dial in over time, right? Like, that sounds super fun, having that surfy feel. And I can see for like park and like more your style of riding, how that would be dope. But dude, both my ankles are like so worked. I broke my left ankle in 2 places back in 2015.
Telling me.
And then I have like a couple torn ligaments in my right ankle.
So you want them
still like, dude, so I ride like a stiffer boot and I keep it tight. And like it kind of sucks for some stuff, like poking out tweaks and stuff. Yeah. But you know,
sacrifices somewhere.
Yeah. You know, and you're bound to get worked over time. Snowboarding is just the way it goes. But,
crazy.
Yeah, dude. Well, real quick before we wrap this thing up, I got a question for you too.
That's good.
And this is more for me, just because, you know, we've both been on the internet for a while, been making videos and kind of know that process, that grind. And you even more so than me. I remember when I first met you, I don't remember when exactly you claimed it. I think it was going to start on January. I think I met you in the fall or something. And then you were like, for 365, I'm going daily.
2018. Yeah.
And you did daily videos, bro. And then now you're still like, you're producing a lot of content, and like, there's a lot of work that goes into that for people that have never done it. Like the behind the scenes, it's so much. And then, you know, beyond that, like trying to expand and like growing a business out of it, that's a whole other world. But just like the video creation part, what has kept you motivated, or like on those days where you're like, I just don't want to be in front of a camera right now? Or have you ever had those feelings or like those types of moments?
Yeah, kind of. Not that I don't want to be, or just, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. For me, it goes back to like what we were saying about just being grateful that it's like, this is our job and that we're blessed to be able to do that every day.
It's the best job in the world.
Getting up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at midnight is just like, that's part of it. I think like monetarily, literally having no choice and seeing like March, April, everything starts dipping off. And then you're like, I have to save until October and like budget, because this is winter specific
super
sport.
Seasonal.
Like dude, 10x.
If you look at the chart, it's like a mountain that peaks like Christmas time, and then
it's literally 10x. I don't think people understand that. And it's like, we only have from November till like not even March. Like basically the resorts in the US that are the smallest are the leaders in like when the graphs will hit. So like if Ohio's not open and Indiana's closing early, like that's when everybody stops watching. It's not just based off like April 30th in Colorado and they're still riding. Like people
totally
early March in Ohio are breaking out dirt bikes. They're going fishing. They're so over the winter thing.
Even in Colorado, like in April, it's warm in a lot of places, and they're doing their other thing.
But I think like, I know what you mean with the repetition, because everything gets old. I think that's why I go surfing, because that just like instantly changes everything. And like when I have 4 or 5 videos of snowboarding to edit, and I've been snowboarding for a while and I know I'm going to go surfing, like I'll go and I have those snowboarding edits to make, but I'm just like not hyped on them at all. And I'm currently filming the surf stuff and I'm like, I want to edit that right then. And it switches. And once I'm surfing for a few weeks, it's like, all right, I'm tired of editing the same Nicaragua videos. Like it would be sick to go to Mammoth. And like, I think just always spicing up the content and making it dope is a huge way. Being forced to monetarily, because if you don't, then you're not going to make enough money, and then you're going to have to go get a regular job, which I'm not trying to do at all.
Yep.
And then the third one, which is literally like last night I had this, I was just not trying to edit. Had a terrible day at Keystone the other day. Couldn't land any tricks, but I'm like, I know I have to make this edit because so many people have terrible days and don't land any tricks, and it'll be super relatable. And there's so much in between, like just riding around the mountain. Like it's going to be a great edit. It'll help people. But I was like, I just don't feel like editing tonight. I edited yesterday, the day before. I did daily this whole past like 10 days because I'm trying to be on point with the mountain openings.
Yeah.
But I think having someone that you look up to, or like having other content creators that you know that you can watch, and like seeing them in their peak and their froth, like using somebody else's motivation. So like my buddy Ben Gravy, last night I was just like, I don't feel like editing. This dude surfed the seven seas of the world in 7 days.
Yeah.
And I had just been, while that was happening, I hit 7 mountains in 7 days opening, and like was on 7 planes. So I wasn't even able to watch these like 25-minute videos because I'm doing my stuff. And I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to kind of run through 5 or 6 of his videos. And like, you're watching someone who also probably sometimes gets unmotivated and doesn't want to keep editing, but like they're frothed up on what they're doing at that time. So I'm like, I'm watching his best videos where he's like accomplishing some goal. And like, I remember literally last night, I was like, damn, this is what I'm trying to do. Like I need to fucking film my morning like routine a little bit more and like get back into it. And I think finding someone who loves what they do and watching them, and I'm friends with Ben. And I actually have seen him edit, and I've seen him I've seen the grind. So I understand. Like
it seems like he's has like I don't know if he's still doing.
He did daily
for a while.
He's like
he's on a pretty heavy grind too.
He is,
and his videos are like, they're not just super easy edits. Like he put some time into it.
There's red cameras. There's 6 angles. There's drone shots, GoPros in the water, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, chill, dude. Like I'm getting anxiety because I'm like, oh no, there's another angle. I see his filmer is being filmed, and then I see like he's running out and he's got a GoPro, and I'm like, oh no, like, dude, I'm like thinking about trying to organize all that. And
like one of the time settings is off on the cameras, and you just have to like figure out where the clips go, and then it goes from like a however many hour process to like double it. Oh, dude. Now those are all great points, man. So I feel like being grateful, number one, I think that's the thing that always has kept me the most motivated when I like really look at it. It's just like, man, such a cool opportunity. Like try to just do the best you can. You're realizing that you're helping people.
Yep.
finding inspiration.
Yep.
That's huge too.
And just making sure that you love what you do. You know? And that's like the combo with gratitude of like, bro,
totally.
You're burnt out on what?
And I think, right.
What are you burnt out on? Snowboarding,
the best
powder,
thing ever.
and then making banger edits from it. And then like,
yeah. But I think the third thing you said is mixing it up. And I think that in recently has helped me out the most because, you know, I'm primarily making product reviews and I do really enjoy that. But I think if I'm doing that for 3 months, that's all I did for 3 months. It can get a little bit exhausting. So yeah, maybe I think honestly, the biggest thing that's helped me, and I don't know how much you prioritize this with your schedule you have going on, but I make a point to like just go snowboard and not bring the camera out, which is hard.
I've never done that.
No way, really.
Ever. I'll do it surfing, but I won't do it snowboarding.
Bro, you got to do it, bro.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I'd give it maybe like, all right, 2 days a season. I'll just go shred with the boys. No camera.
I did it.
Just remember
yesterday. Actually, when I was at Keystone, I said I was having a terrible day. Dan was trying to film me on the way down, and I was like, get that thing away from me. I'll see you guys at the car. I was like, I need a reset, bro. And I just like turned my music up, put my riding on like level 10. And I was like, but in the moment, I'm like doing crazy shit. I'm like,
I wish we were filming.
Get that, yeah.
I mean, dude, every time I feel the same, but that's been a game changer for me, dude. And I do, you know, like if it's a epic powder day and you're like, oh, I could at least have like that GoPro on my helmet or whatever. But that's helped me a lot. Just like going out just for the experience of snowboarding and no pressure, just for you, you and your friends.
I would
like
say that's
how it started.
So huge for people that are listening who don't have a big following and who aren't 100% already committed to that being their income. Is like the reason that I always want my stuff filmed is because I've practiced for 8-10 years without filming every single day. Like I spent fucking 29, 10, 11, 12, all no camera, just like,
I mean, that's how it all starts for everyone, right?
Dude,
I mean, you gotta do it
dialed in so that you're not like spending 8 hours filming something that if you honed that in for a couple weeks, you could go film that first try. So like I'm at that level now with my riding where like stuff should be being filmed because I'm always progressing to that next level that I would like to.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. Yeah. Just go out there and cruise and stop being worried about filming everything.
Yeah, man. That's been a huge refresher for me. Like mixing up the style of videos, I think is fun too. But the last 2 years I've made a point to do that, and that has been huge.
Switch it up, get out there, go ride, have fun, meet some people.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Sick, dude. Well, this has been incredible. So stoked to get some actual snowboarding knowledge in the pod.
Dude,
I learned a bunch.
Thank you so much for having me out here and bringing this whole setup with you to Colorado. This is wild. Like if you guys could see what's going on right here. It's
show some love. Drop a comment, a review, a like, cop some merch, Patreon. We appreciate it all.
Yeah. And, dude, leave any questions if there's like gear stuff that we didn't talk about for maybe if we do this again, we can go through the comments, try to touch on that next time.
We got another episode coming soon. But go hit up TJ Board Archive on Instagram. Any questions that you have, I'm sure he answers every single one of them.
I try.
Hit him up on YouTube. You got a website too. You got some dope hoodies that you're creating. We didn't even touch on that.
Dude, I'm not here to plug anything, man. I'm just here to chill with you and hang out and have a convo. So, but yeah, it's all on the Instagram and YouTube. If you guys want to check it out, I'd be stoked. Hopefully I can help you guys out and make sure you have the most fun on your next snowboard. So that's the whole goal with it.
With less pressure points.
Yes.
And less pressure overall.
Dude. Well, hopefully I'll see you in Japan, man. Or, worst case, let's go take the sled out in Colorado.
Yeah. Let's get this camp going in Japan, dude. That would be sick.
All right. That sounds good.
All right. You love to hear it. Much love, bro. Thanks for chatting. Yeah, nice.
Nice.